Testing projections is really simple. That's what we want to show you today. We'll start with some theory about what projection is, and then we'll go through the example from the last week from the last video, and then we'll dive into a little bit more complicated projection, which we will discuss and see how you can test that. Hi, Tomek.
Hi, Łukasz. Yeah, exactly. That's what you said. Yeah, first of all, we would like to show you, because we already mentioned a couple of times read models. Last episode was about projections. And it might be a bit confusing for you. So first of all, we would like to discuss it. What's the difference and why we actually decide to show you how to test projections, because we find them, I think, the easiest piece to test, right, Łukasz?
Yeah, it's very simple. We should see.
Yeah, so let's jump into the Miro board. And you for sure recall the task model here. And we've mentioned a couple of times about the read models, which are like here, they are like green cards. But what they are like pieces of state that are built based on events that happened in the system. So if some events happen, then we update those read models, and we can do it in a different, let's say, approaches. And where is the projection actually? Where is the piece of about the projection? So it is somewhere here, right? So we have events on the left-hand side and read model on the right-hand side, which is so the events are the input, and read models are the output of the process of building the read model, right? So the projections is like. Projection is the process. It's like building this state which is on the right-hand side, and that's why it's also easy to test, because you have only events that happened in the system, and then you build the state. You don't have any rules like you have in the aggregate, for example, that you have some kind of rules that have to be restricted. Or you don't even have like any queries, because the queries on the right-hand side, after when you have the read models, you can query them, and that's actually those are selections. But projections is just a process of building some piece of the state. Actually, you can see them here, but also even applying, let's say, the changing the state in the aggregate itself, it's also some kind of projection. So what's also important here is that the projection, it doesn't have to be like, the piece of code that we are showing you, but where we read the whole stream and we apply the events, but it also can be like a subscription, right? Because we also are subscribed to some kind of event and you change the state of the read model. Okay, so just to sum it up, we decided to show you how to test projections because, we find them easy to test because you have the events as an input and the state as an output. No rules here, so it should be easy. Easy to test. And also, I think we can say, I'm not sure whether you, Łukasz, agree with me, but actually, if you started to publish any events in your project, the easiest, let's say, way, the easiest thing that you can do it now is to try to run some projections and build some states, right? That's I think the easiest way that you can go now, right, with events.
Yeah, I can start interpreting the events. And there's one important thing that Tomek mentioned, that there's no additional rules in projection. What does it mean? Is there no if statements? No. What he means is that the events that happened, those are facts, right? It happened. It's the past. That's why it's also in the past tense. And they happened, and there is some business logic that either allowed these events to happen or not. But that's why we don't have to interpret it over again in the projection, because we can be sure that it's been already taken care of. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's extremely important, because we know at this stage we already know that this model is valid, right? We had some rules. We know that the model is consistent, let's say. On the other hand, the read models, they are, let's say, they are for like usually for UI purposes, right? We don't they are not source of truth, right?
Yeah.
The source of truth is here, right? This model.
Yeah.
Here. So you can.
We called it in the previous episode. We called it interpretation, right? So read model is some interpretation of the events that we create for our users, for business, for stakeholders, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and I think also when we build read models themselves, I mean, I know we maybe should go to the code now, but just wanted to mention something that we also, when we build them, we treat them like they are, like, as I said, cheap, and we can actually destroy them at all and build them from scratch sometimes, right? Because we know that those are facts that happened, and based on them, we can rebuild any read model anytime.
Small remark, only if you have events, because if you don't, then it's a little bit risky.
Yeah, exactly. We are not going to go into details now, right?
No. But we can go into the details, meaning that we could jump to the code.
Exactly.
All right, so this code is something that you may be familiar with if you saw our previous videos. In the last one, we introduced a projection here. Right now, in the last commits, I extracted it to the separate class that names, or actually that tries to describe what this projection is doing. So it displays, or it shows you the completed task reopened. And now we have two methods here. So it shows the completed and reopened task for tasks for certain task ID and all of them. The difference is that for the task, it reads from the certain stream, which you can see in the line number 6. And for all, it reads from the all streams. And this projection is really simple, but let's see how we could test that, how we can actually convert what Tomek was displaying on the Miro board and what he was describing to the code that is a test. Because he mentioned that you have some input and you have something, projection, some function, maybe mathematical function, and then you have some output. And as you can see, the input is the event store publish. We have this task completed, task reopened, completed again, reopened, reopened. And as I said previously, those are facts, so we don't have to check if that happened. And this is the beauty of the event sourcing, and this is the beauty of how you can actually test the projections. All you have to do is to publish some fact and then build the projection, which happens in the line number 15. And then in our case, the projection returns the hash. But what it could also do, it could just insert those values into the database. Maybe we'll make a separate video of that, but that's really not so complex, I guess. You're pretty smart guys, you can take it further on your own. So what it would do, maybe we could do the assertions on the reading the database read model and then checking that. In here, we decided to just return the hash. And as you can see, we get very simple results, so that's our output. And we have a couple of tests like that. Checking different cases, they are pretty simple, right? Tomek, would you add something to that?
No, that's pretty clear, right? We have like
no.
No.
All right, so maybe let's switch to a little bit more complicated, maybe complex projections. If you could just before show, first of all, once again, the completed task reopened, just to make clear why I'm calling this very simple one, because all we do, we just calculate certain states of the task. So we do completed or reopened, right? And in the last one, we only, in the second method, the all method, we only calculate how many times the reopened happened for certain task ID. Very simple. So let's see the other projections, which we called employee of the month. So the story behind is that your business, they want to have some employee of the month projection, or actually a report. They will not talk to you about the projection. I hope they don't. And when they come to you, they mention that there are some business rules. And in our case, it's that whenever employee is assigned to a task and the task is completed, the employee can be also assigned to the task after it's completed because maybe someone forgot to do that. Then the task is calculated to their, let's say, completed tasks. And then the employee that has the most of the task at the end of the month, that's the employee of the month, and they will get nothing. But people want to know who's effective in the work, who is efficient, and who's not. So this is the code that is doing that. It's once again not so complex. You could probably imagine a more complex scenario. Perhaps we'll get into that. That would be interesting. For the question for you: how would you, in that case, how would you take care of the employee name and display it here? You can write a comment down in the comment section. I will appreciate that. Then we'll in one of the next episodes, perhaps that's also the topic that we want to cover. We'll refer to your answers if there are any. So okay, let's see test for that because
I will write one.
Thank you.
Does it count?
Of course. I'm curious if you know. All right, so let's switch to the test. So the employee of the month test. And as you can see here, it looks very, very similar. The not so obvious difference in the block of text is that we have the stream name. Actually, we publish events to two different streams. There is the task assignments stream, which is responsible for knowing which employee is assigned to which task, and also this task stream. And once again, we get some events. We don't interpret them. It's of course a good scenario to. It's not a scenario, but it's a good practice to test different scenarios. So if there are nonsense events, because maybe they come out of the order, or in the async world, a lot of things can happen. But then you should know how the projection is going to behave. But as you can see, it's very simple to test. So you can actually even use some mutation testing to see if you covered all of the cases for your scenario. Because, hey, the data is important, right? One thing is having the data, but the other thing is that to make this data meaningful to business and structure it in the way that they understand it and that it answers the important business questions for them, which in this case is the employee of the month. And as you can see, those tests here, the employee of the month is employee with ID equal to 1. Pardon the primitives. That's just simplest to show. And why? Because as you can see, employee with ID number 1 was assigned to task number 1. This task was completed. Later on, there's employee number 2, but he's not employee of the month, so let's not bother about them. There is the employee number 1 assigned to task number 3, which is also completed later on. And that's why the employee completed 2 tasks. The employee number 2 completed only 1 task, which is visualized here. So very simple math that we can use and that we can use to visualize certain things. Would you add something, Tomek?
No, I think we are good now, right? The only thing here is that we are reading from the old streams here, right? And we have some idea how to improve that as well.
Yeah, that's maybe not the best solution to read from all the streams. I mean, it works fine in tests. It works fine in dev environments where you don't have many production data. But in the real world, that may take more time than necessary to actually build some report. So in the next episode, we'll show you how you can actually deal with that and make it more efficient to build your reports using projections. And I guess that's it for today. Thank you for watching. As always, if you like the episode, you can leave some like, you can subscribe to the channel. That would be really, really nice. We like to watch those numbers grow. And you can, of course, leave the comment in the comment section.
Yep. So see ya.
Thanks for watching. Ciao.